rhetorical arguments.
Thank you, Senator McAllister. Senator Reynolds.
Much, Madam Deputy President. I too rise to take note of the answer provided by Minister Cormann. But first of all, I have a confession to make to this chamber. When I spoke this morning on the new tax bill, I inadvertently misled the chamber. I actually said that we had 16 consecutive months of jobs growth in this country, the longest run of job growth ever. However, I now apologise to the chamber because it's actually 17 months of consecutive jobs growth, which is still and remains the longest run of jobs growth ever on record here in this country. So my apologies for that misleading statement. Now, listening to the debate in the chamber today, to the questions and to the take-note answers here, from those opposite, all I can think is how much those opposite would benefit from from Year 7 and Year 8 economics and business study books in our schools, because any grade 7 or grade 8 student would know exactly the fallacy of what those say opposite. We heard this morning from the Greens that the solution to economic growth is investment. Well, those of us on this side agree that we do need to invest in infrastructure and social programs. But what you never hear from those opposite, and what you never hear, and you certainly haven't heard in this take note from those opposite, is where is the money coming from? Now, there is, as I observed this morning, there is no little group of fairies at the bottom of the garden that sprinkle money dust over the economy, just as there is no magic pudding of money. We have to earn the money, and if you want to spend it, you have to tell us how you're going to raise it. So just spending money without actually saying where the money is coming from is not economic anything. So what have we got from those opposite? So I'd just like to remind those opposite of what those who are a bit more honest, or have been more honest in the past about what it takes to generate national wealth and why company tax rates in the current world taxation environment are so important. So I'd just like to remind those in this chamber that former Prime Minister Julia Gillard— so what do you think Julia Gillard said as Prime Minister about the importance of tax cuts? She said this: "If you are against cutting company tax, you are against economic growth. If you are against economic growth, then you are against jobs." How right she was then. And all of you opposite know that what she said then was correct, and what you're saying now is not. So let's have a look at Bill Shorten, what he has himself said on a lower corporate tax rate. And I will quote him: "The government's tax reform agenda has a strong focus on ensuring that Australia remains an attractive place to invest. Cutting the corporate tax rate is an important step along this road. This recognises the benefits to investment and growth from lower company tax rates and a trend to lower rates across the OECD over the past 30 years. So it is it's not only disingenuous, this is probably the most important measure this government has introduced, I believe, in this chamber since it was re-elected, because it is critically important that in this global economy that we continue not only to make free trade agreements, but we enable our companies to be profitable, to employ and to grow their workforce. And we can see these policies are working, Madam Deputy Speaker. We can see through the evidence of our tax cuts and other incentives for small business, who employ 6.7 million Australians. They are expanding, they are growing, and in fact, nearly 1 million jobs have been created, new jobs, mostly full-time jobs, and majority for women. These are new jobs, and as I said, 17 months of consecutive economic growth and jobs growth is something we should be proud of and not trying to undermine in a cynical attempt to get the post-budget address and reply speech by the Leader of the Opposition leading up to the next election, the messages of division and of lack of hope and of fear. And I think those opposites should be ashamed, because as they well know, to survive in the 21st century economy, we need to grow the economy. We need to provide support not just to small businesses but to larger businesses so they can grow, they can compete, they can export and they can employ more Australians. Thank you, Madam Deputy President.
Senator Reynolds. Senator